because you really should have the money in a different area and for a different use. Is not correct. They should be upfront with what they need, and some of this could be refined, but no, you don't cut the budget to what we need the most now.
Ken, you get to start this one. Back to health care. There's several constitutional questions that have been raised about the health care. Can you speak to some of these? What's your thoughts?
Well, the main one, the constitutional thing that has to do with health care is it mandated or is it even mentioned in the Constitution as far as I'm concerned? It's not. So right off the bat, you just did away with all the other questions and all the other things that need to be talked about. It's something that each community needs to look at. It's something the state needs to look at. It's something that needs to be done on a healthcare services industry. They need to look at that. They need to cut fraud and cut waste. To me, the Constitution is very clear. It's not there.
I agree with Ken. It's, if we want to have national health care, then we should pass a constitutional amendment to have national health care. We, as a nation, have kind of bypassed our process for these things, starting back with the New Deal under FDR and then going on to Johnson and his Great Society plans. So, you know, this is just the next stage to me in that process. And we could put a halt to it right now if the states would decide that under the 10th Amendment they don't have to observe any mandates from the government on health care. And I think several states, in fact I know over 20 states, have got legislation pending to do such a thing.
Well, they want to tell people that they have to have insurance, and that's not constitutional. They want to tell somebody that if they don't have the insurance, they can have to pay tax. That's not constitutional. And I know that they are getting ready to, they said yesterday they'll use 38 states. They're now getting ready to use this 10th Amendment, and I think that's fine. Both Valerie and I support that 10th Amendment. We both 10th Amendment signed and we signed the pledge.
It's definitely not constitutional. It's definitely on the 10th Amendment. However, so many things that are ongoing programs, dollars spent on, discussed are not constitutional as well. You can't find the word abortion in the Constitution, yet it's legal in our land. So I think we'll have to fight it in additional ways, in addition to the fact that it's not constitutional. The health care radical reform supposedly would radically change the delivery, quality, the service, rationing. It would pit me against this guy for care because there will be X number of x-rays can be taken, and got to figure out which one of us might have been a member of a union or might not have ever voted for the GOP, and that person gets the x-ray. So the problems with that reform are so many and so deep and so hideous. The bottom line is it's not constitutional.
Applause to you. Don't do it. Just follow applause. So you've done a great job. And let's see. Ken, did you start the last one?
Yes.
Okay. Would you accept money for your state for a vote you originally said no to?
Why would I accept money on a vote that I...
That was a yes or no question.
Oh, it's a light round question?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. They want to know why. That'll work. Diane, would you join with the other states that have decided to sue if the health care bill is passed?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Didn't they do a good job?
Yes.
I'll let y'all applaud them. There you go. All right. This is what somebody's out here looking after y'all. What are your thoughts on term limits?
I have come out as being for 12 years as the term limit for both us. The Senate, that would be 2 6-year terms, and for the House of Representatives, that would be 6 2-year terms. I learned that at 8 years, though, the House members qualify for $15,000 a month retirement or whatever, so I'm rethinking maybe it ought to be 8 years term limits and no retirement policy.
Term limits, definitely, it saves our nation that we have term limits for our president. I think it's good for our state that we have term limits for our governor. I see no reason in the world the same concept can apply. 3 terms for the House of Representatives, 2 terms for the Senate. Thank you very much. Go back and live in the world where you created all the laws and taxes for, and go back into business and see what you've left the rest of us with. Absolutely.
Yes, I agree with term limits. I think with the House of Representatives, 3 terms should be plenty. The Senate, 2, I think should be set.
I'm going to be the odd man out here. We already have term limits. It's called voting. Okay, and the problems we face are with voter apathy and people indifferent to this electoral process, and anything that limits our ability to select who we want to represent us is not, in my mind, a good idea. And if you want an example of that, all you got to do is look at the terms of lame duck presidents and the kind of things they enact in their later years as president.
Okay, Angela. We all know spending needs to be cut, but how would you cut the actual size or number of government employees? I'm not sure.
Quickly and with a sharp knife. Many departments would be gone, Department of Education, Department of Labor, anything to do with energy, the EPA would be 5 people left at a desk. All that work that's going to try to improve cap and trade, taxes should be given us because these weather changes that are misstated, data is misused or accidentally deleted, all that foolishness would have to come to an end. We cannot afford 20%, 30% cutback on all federal offices. Budgets from start from zero-based budgeting. Tell us why you need the first dollar, not why you need the next $100 million. It would be quick and painful.
Yes, I agree with it. We need to begin with looking at every single department and see if they are necessary and constitutional. If they're not, then they need to be cut. If they are constitutional, then they need to cut the fat or the pork, as we want to call it, out of it. And we also need to look at cutting the pork that has been brought to our Congress by the representatives themselves. And I'm a personal believer that pork belongs in one place, and that's a good barbecue.
I was just going to elaborate on this by going back to what we said about why I wouldn't take money. I think a lot of people are offended when they see their politicians holding up those giant checks in front of these proposed things where those politicians didn't vote in support of that. How do you get all the glory for bringing the money when you said no? You know, you need to be able to stand up there and say, I don't want to get any glory from this because it's taking advantage of the people.
Okay, cutting spending, I definitely would eliminate the Department of Education. All that work could be done at the local and state level better. I would eliminate the Department of Energy. It has not been successful in getting us off foreign oil. It should go. I believe that there's no need for special medical insurance for anybody in Congress or the President. They can do with regular care, especially if the health care bill passes. I also am against the IRS. I think that is non-constitutional, and we should get rid of it. Go to fair tax, flat tax, or whatever, get rid of the IRS. And I like to bring home the politicians. That's something that I've advocated for. It's where we have elected Congress, and the Congress would actually be able to function from home. District Congress people could actually stay in their home area district and have an office and have a telecommunication with the other Congress people. Even filibustering could be handled that way. In the event that everybody would be within 1 day's airplane flight to Washington, D.C., in the event they needed to meet all of a sudden. There's only 1 day that's mandated that the Congress be in Washington, D.C. I think it's January 3rd. And the VHT, the P is advocating for 75% of the time being spent by the senators in their capitals, Congress people in their districts. And those elected officials